Hi my loves, you are welcome to Olives. In this video, I'll share with you how to cut a simple short with a side seam pocket, mainly how to sew a side seam pocket. So if you're interested, keep on watching. I'm going to begin by drafting a short, okay? So we'll first draft the short and then cut out pocket with the short. So I'll be making use of this fabric. This is 33 inches, which is my lower waist measurement. 28, and then the lower round measurement of my short is going to be 26 inches and the length is 20 inches. So these are all the measurements I need for my short. So I'll begin by folding my fabric into two, and the measurement for the width will be half of your thigh measurement and add about 1 inch or 1.5 inch extra allowance. Okay, so my thigh is 28 divided by 2 is 14, adding 1.5 inch extra allowance, I have 15.5. Okay, now I'm going to make sure that whatever fold I have here is a total of 15.5 inches. The total length of this short is 20 inches. I'm going to keep it that way, 20 inches, and I'll add extra 1.5 inch for hemming allowance. I'll draw a starting point and then mark 20 inches plus 1.5 will give me 21.5, right? So I'm going to mark 21.5 here. Out of the 21.5, 1.5 is for hemming allowance. I'll go ahead and cut my shape out. So from the edge of my fabric right here, I'm going to draw out a starting line, or I'm going to make out a border line from here. I'm going to determine the length of my crotch depth. If you want it to be like a high waist, you add about 1.5 inch to quarter of your hip measurement so that you will be high. But if you maintain just your hip measurement, then it means that you want a low waist trouser, if that makes sense. Dividing my hip by 4, I have 10 3/4 inch. For me, I'm going to go ahead and add just about half inch so I can have it a little bit above my lower waist. My actual quarter of hip measurement is 10 3/4 inch, which is here. So it means that I just added about 3/4 inch extra to quarter of my measurement. Okay, before I mark this, I'm going to deduct my length of band from it, which is 1.5 inch. So I'm going to take out 1.5 inch, which is 10 inches. So from the starting point, I'll mark 10 inches. Your crotch depth includes your band length. Okay, now having determined my crotch depth, I'll move up by 2 inches from the crotch depth to determine my hip line. So here is my waistline, my hip line, my crotch depth, and the length of my short. On the crotch depth, I'm going to measure quarter of my hip and I'll add extra half inch as allowance. Okay, 10 3/4 inch. I'll add half inch, which is going to give me 11.25 inch. Okay, so I'm going to measure this 11.25 inch like this. I'll also divide my thigh by 2, which is 14, and add half inch allowance and mark it out. I'm going to record whatever measurement I have here, repeat the same thing at the waistline. Go in from here by about 1 inch. I'll use my armhole curve, place it this way. So this is it. I'll be adding elastic band to my waist, so I intend leaving my waist measurement same as quarter of my hip measurement. But if you are looking for a fitted short, then you make use of your waist. Okay, the waist measurement I'm working with is 33 inches, right? I'll divide it by 4. I have 8.25. 8.25 means 8 and quarter inch. So at the top here, I'm going to measure 8 and quarter inch. For this as well, I'll add half-inch allowance. I'll pick my hip curve, take it this way. I'll go ahead to divide my thigh measurement that I have here like this. I'm just going to fold my tape into two and mark whatever measurement I have from this mark to my borderline. I will take note of it and make sure I mark the same thing here. And I'll put all these points together. So this is the point where you add your darts or your pleats. Okay. The round short measurement I'm using is 26 inches. I'm going to divide this 26 inches into two, so that is 13 inches, which will be here, right? I'm then going to divide this 13 inches into two. So the midpoint of this 13 inches will be here, be on this center line. And then I'll mark 13 here, and then wherever the tape ends here, I'll mark it. So all I'm going to do is to draw a line to connect like this, and also draw a line to connect to the crotch depth like this. So this is the shape that I'm going for. Assuming I want my short to be a bit tight on me, say 22 inches. 22 divided by 2 is 11. I will then divide 11 into 2 again, place the center here, mark out whatever I have, and connect it to meet the crotch depth. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is to fold on my hemline like this, and then I'm going to cut around my shape. I'll mark down from the waistline or half inch. I'll connect the half inch it in like this. Next thing I'm going to do is to add half-inch allowance to the waist as joining allowance. On a second thought, I'm just going to go in this way. I'm still going to add my elastic band, but I feel the front is too much because I'm not going to add elastic band to the front. It's just to the back. Okay. So now it is on the front that we have our pocket, right? So I'm going to go ahead and fold my fabric for the pocket, and then we go ahead to cut out. Okay, right from here you can also determine the depth of your pocket. So from the waist now, from here I'll mark down 12 inches. So for the width of my pocket, I'm going to mark away from the crotch here 2.5 inches, and whatever extra width I have here, that will be the width of my pocket. All right, that will be the actual width of my pocket. So 8 inches, length 12 inches, width 8 inches. Before I cut out the front pocket, it is best to also cut out the back so I can manage the excess for my pocket. Okay, I'm going to place my front right on it. I'll draw a starting point from here, and then I'll place my short right here. I've transferred my crotch depth mark onto the back piece. I did same for the lower part. I'm going to use a total back crotch extension of 3 inches. I'm going to spread my 3 inches. I'll mark 2 inches here and mark 1 inch here. It is optional to do this. You can as well just mark the whole 3 inches towards this direction. Okay, at the lower part I'll use 1 inch here, 1 inch here. So I'm just going to connect them. I'm going to come down from this crotch depth, say half inch here, and then half inch here from the waist. Now the reason why I just use half inch is because I've allowed enough allowance on the front, which is also going to affect the back. So I do not need much allowance. This half inch I've used here is to help me join the side seam and the back crotch together. I'll be adding zip to the front, so it is also another opening for me to easily wear this short. From here I'll use a rise of 1.5 inch, draw in from here down to the half inch. What I'll also do next is to connect this half inch mark I have to meet this half inch I've marked down from the crotch depth. So I'm going to connect them this way. So I'm going to take out my front, flip to this side. I'm going to mark 2 inches. Starting from the side, I'll mark 2 inches inward, and this is the point where you determine the width of your pocket. Okay, so you can use averagely 7 or 7.5. I'll make use of 7.5. Tilt my tape like this and mark 7.5 inches. I'll mark in from the side 1 centimeter or half inch like this, and then I'll connect them together. Notch in like this, you see, and also notch in from the waist like this. So this will help us create our pocket. So this is my piece of fabric. I have one to unfold. The width of my pocket is going to be 8 inches. So from the folded edge I'll mark 8 inches. Okay, so I'm going to place it this way. I'm also going to place my front piece on it. What I'm going to do is to gauge the pocket with my hip or crotch line like this. Okay, they have to be the same. By aligning the crotch and the hip together with my straight edge of pocket here, you could see that the half inch I took off from my center front is reflecting on the pocket, and also the 1 inch I took off from the side of my front is also reflecting on the pocket. Just as you cut the short, it has to reflect on your pocket. Okay, you do not cut a rectangular piece for your pocket and then you start joining together. I'll go ahead to cut the excess I have around. So having done that, the 7.5 inches notch I have here, I'll transfer it to my pocket bag and also notch. Okay, I'll notch the center here, and then the 2 inches notch is here. I'll mark down 1.5 inch. Okay, and what I'm going to do is to just use my free hand and curve in such a way that it connects into the 1.5 inch. So half inch away from the side, I want my curve to start from there. I've cut out a piece of violin. It's about 2 inches. I'm also going to cut it into two. I'm going to head over to my ironing space, fuse my violin along my notches. Okay, I'm going to place it this way. I'm going to re-notch into previous notches. The violin has sealed it, so I'm going to notch it again. Press in these notches like this, and then you have your crease line. This is my right side, so this is the wrong side of my pocket. Very important to mark them, especially if you can't identify the wrong side and the right side. What I'm going to do is to place my fabric first, wrong size facing. You can see the marks, right? I'll pin it in place, stitch about 1/4 inch, and whatever I do to this piece of pocket, I'll repeat the same thing to the other. I've gone ahead to stitch, and this is how it looks. I'll trim off the 1/4 inch a bit in, notch this corner, so when I turn it inside out, it will lay nicely. Okay, remember we started stitching wrong sides facing. Okay, so I'm going to turn it inside out, so you could see my wrong side outside now, and then my right side inside. Okay, you need the right side to be inside at the end of the day. This method is called French seam. So what we are going to do is to top stitch, but I'll first press the edge of my pocket, and then after pressing, I'll take it to the machine and stitch about 1/4 inch. Okay, this way. Now if I turn it inside out, it is hard to see the rough side. This is my crease line with my 1/2 inch inward like this. This is my front piece, and this is the side. This is also the side of my pocket, and this is also the right side. So I'll match them together. Obviously here is the wrong side, and I can also see my notches, so I'll meet my notches and pin them. This is my notch here. I'll locate it and pin. That means the other side of my pocket bag is away. Do you see here? I'm going to head over to the machine, and I'll stitch a little below my notch. Okay, this is my notch. I'll stitch like this, and then instead of stitching right on my crease line, I'll stitch about 1/4 inch away from that line. I'm going to stitch inwardly like this. I stitch and then go in this way. We are going to maintain it this way, but we will stitch the sides together just to keep it in place. Okay, so since I've stitched this corner, I'm going to notch it. I'm going to flip this excess that I have here towards the pocket bag. This is my pocket bag, and then I'm going to make my under stitch. Okay, I'll stop right here, and also I'm going to top stitch on this excess so it sticks onto the pocket bag. So I can turn in this way and just make my top stitch. The fact that this excess is fraying, if you have a serger or a knitting machine beside you, you can just serge it before you make your top stitch, okay, to prevent this rough edge from staying this way. This is still my 2 inches notch. I'm not going to temper with it, I'm just going to maintain it this way. I've gone ahead to give it a good press. I'm going to make a top stitch. So here's my top stitch. So all I'm going to do is to pick the other side of the pocket bag. This is the knot, and meet it with the edge like this. I'm also going to pin here. So all I'm going to do is tuck here and then top stitch the waistline in place. Okay. Yeah,